It's Dinger Tuesday. Let's lock in. Welcome back to the Green Beans Go betting channel. It's your host, me. Happy to be here. Happy you guys are here. As always, if you guys can subscribe, like, comment, that stuff helps push this video out to YouTube. Hopefully we can make some people some more money. By not subscribing, you're literally making people across the country be more poor, which is pretty selfish of you. So if you could subscribe, that would be wonderful. And let's look at, obviously, this is the slate today, but let's peek back at last week. Last week, we went absolutely bonkers. We were able to hit 5 home runs. The A team absolutely dominated. A plus 630, a plus 900, a plus 750, a plus 750. Kind of an unreal week last week. Thankful for that. If we go back to the tracking, just to kind of see where we are in terms of overall, and then I will go ahead and get into the picks this week. So if we want to look at just numbers overall, if you've taken all of the A team and you've converted every free bet at 75% through 3 weeks, you'd be up $620. If you take all of the B team and you convert at 75%, you'd be up $318. So a grand total of up $939 since we made this video. Our A-rated games are churning out. I still haven't hit one for the A team, a negative 100% ROI and an 80% ROI. B team, negative 15, negative 30. C team, 19, 24. For some reason, this D-rated is still the best spot. I don't know. I think maybe I'm grading games a little too hard, a little too harshly. So we'll see how we can tweak that. And I actually did a little tweaking of that today to hopefully come out a little bit more evenly distributed for those. So overall, happy with the numbers, and let's keep cashing. So today, as you can see, if we go zoom this out a little bit, make my head a little smaller. I've gone with 3 A games. So if you have the limited $50 version, I would target St. Louis at Cincinnati, I would target Houston at Milwaukee, and I would target Miami at Colorado. If you want to reach a little bit further, I don't mind these 2 late games in LA and in Seattle. Those would be my Bs. I got 2 Cs, Philly and at Tampa. And then everything else is Ds or Fs, and that's mainly because of pitching. I think ballparks are starting to warm up. I think places are starting to be more hitter-friendly as we get deeper into the summer. So a lot of this is just pitching matchups, and that's going to probably – part of the reason why I think I was getting a little bit ahead of myself with the D-rated games is I'm doing a lot about the Ballpark Pal home run percentage, and he actually tweeted today, guys, this is not the end-all be-all. It is a small factor, it is an important factor, but it's not necessarily the whole truth. So I need to scale back a little bit when I see some of these red numbers on Ballpark Pal and realize that that's not telling the whole story. So let's go ahead and get into it today. We'll zoom in. We'll start here with the game in Cleveland, 2 Midwest teams. Dylan Cease is on the mound, been pretty dominant this year with that mustache he has. And so for that reason, I'm going to take 2 guys that are not facing him. I'm going to go with 2 Cleveland Guardians. Almost slipped up there. And we're going to go with Jake Burger and Tim Anderson for the Sox. So I'm going to avoid anybody who's going to be hitting Dylan Cease and target the opposite here. So Jake Burger at 430, DH for the Sox, been hitting some. Tim Anderson's leading off. Obviously, that plus 800 tells you he doesn't hit a ton of home runs, but he does get bat on ball quite often, and I think at that number, it doesn't hurt. Now, this is a D-rated game. I think the wind is blowing in. Not necessarily something I'm going to play with my limited version, but if you're going to commit to playing them all, these are the 2 guys I'd go with. Next game, we got Texas visiting Pittsburgh, and Nathan Eovaldi, again, has been pitching great. Pretty big sample size, 60 innings, only giving up 3 home runs, whereas Rich Hills had almost 50 innings with 8 home runs. So I'm going to target 2 Texas Rangers here. And we're going to go with Marcus Semien. Yes, that is pronounced Simeon, people. Come on now. And 430, a little low for me, as is Jake Burger. You're going to see that a lot. I kind of went a little bit more conservative with some of these picks this week. I just try to trust my gut a little more, not reach as much. And Josh Jung has hit a home run, a couple in the last week. So his bat is hot, and I think that it's a good spot for him. Again, park factors are not looking great in Pittsburgh. Pretty windy day. And, overall, I don't know if Pittsburgh is going to hit too many home runs tonight. So you're going to rely on Texas to get your 5 home runs for this game. 1 to 2 home runs is what I predict. And hopefully it's one of these guys. All right, the game that I do want to target is Adam Wainwright, who is actually fairly old. His prime was probably 2015-ish, 2014, 2013. He's well past that. He's only pitched 15 innings this year and been fine in them. Graham Ashcraft has been okay. I would say one of Cincinnati's better pitchers. But again, Hitters Park, short fields, warm day. Jake Fraley is doer, then do. Unbelievable. I've been riding this little bot for I don't know how long, and he has not been able to cash for me. So we're gonna keep pounding it. Okay, pause, and we're gonna cash tonight. So Jake Fraley at plus 390 is my A team. My B team is Tommy Edman, who they have projected at the bottom of the order, but I gotta think he leads off tonight. Lefty going against a righty, so at plus 600. I know he's not necessarily a big hitter, kind of a Tim Anderson type, but it is where my gut goes, and I shall follow. Nelson versus Strom in Philly. Nelson, again, has had a pretty good year, but he has given up some hard-hit balls, and for that reason, I am targeting 2 Philly players. This is the game that kind of struck me a little, offended me a bit at some of the numbers on this game. And if we can flip over here to FanDuel. Okay, so if we flip over here to FanDuel and peek at the numbers, you're going to see, 280, 310, 370, 420, 440, very low numbers. And, I like Schwarber and Harper in this game, absolutely, no doubt about it. But for that number, I'm not going to get there. So I'm going to go Brandon Marsh and Boston Stott at 630 and 540. And we'll see. It's a game I don't mind. If you want to reach a little bit and play this, I totally think it's reasonable. Next game, we got a dome. We got a indoor stadium. And last week we cashed Kiermaier at plus 900, and I looked, and he's at plus 1,000, 10 to 1 today. It would be foolish not to go back to the well that quenched our thirst. So we're gonna go Kevin Kiermaier again, and Varsho, who cashed us week 1. Honestly, our first correct dinger call of this entire YouTube series. So those are our guys. If you don't like either of those and you wish I had given you a third, the third is Brandon Belt, and we'll leave it at that. Kyle Bradish versus Garrett Cole tonight. Last time we talked about Cole, he had no home runs given up, no home runs surrendered. He has 4 now, so slipping a little perhaps, I'm not sure. But I am going to target only Yankees players tonight, and it's going to be Jake Bauers, who at plus 750 really jumped off the page at me. Philly's game looked rough in terms of odds. Yankees game, to have Jake Bauers I just have had something in my eye this whole time. Jake Bauers at 750 is generous, and at those odds, there's value there. So if, again, not a game I'm probably going to get to with my limited version, but if you want to play it, that I think is a good spot. Oswaldo Cabrera is not listed right now on FanDuel in terms of odds. Now, that would be my first pick, or I guess my B pick. And nope, still not listed. If he pops up that he's in the lineup and you want to play him, great. Otherwise, Anthony Rizzo at 350s, who I'm going to go to for that spot. Darvish versus Gore, 2 guys with almost identical innings pitched and home runs given up in Washington where the wind is blowing in. I think Darvish obviously is the better pitcher here, so I'm going to target 2 San Diego Padres, and we're going to go with Hae-Sung Kim at 800, should be near the top of the order. Another guy who's hasn't hit a ton this year, but has hit enough that at plus 800 I do find value. Let's go ahead and peek at his 4 home runs this year, which at this deep in the season probably slightly below average, but not he doesn't get into every game like some of these other guys. So I like that number. Xander Bogaerts at plus 560, I think, is another good spot for that. Obviously, Tatis and Cruz are not bad plays, but their juice is too much for me to overcome at that price. Okay, kind of an interesting game here. We got Bryson Miller. I do want to say, minor leaguer coming up, making his first MLB. Bobby Miller making his first MLB start tonight against Atlanta, who has bats for days. Really a bad spot for the poor guy, I think. And then the opposite of him is Spencer Strider. So it's I mean, really, if you want to draw up a worse start for Bobby Miller, you couldn't. And I feel bad for the guy, but no way in the world am I touching any Dodgers players tonight versus Spencer Strider. And I do feel bad for Bobby Miller tonight. I think Atlanta should win this game fairly easily. So we got Matt Olson and Michael Harris the two tonight as my A and B team picks, 310 and 630. Again, I think Atlanta puts the bats on this kid and hopefully sends him deep a couple times. So while it is minus 27 in a D-rated game, I do that because I'm thinking total home runs. I don't see LA hitting a ton of home runs tonight. So, Atlanta could hit 3, which maybe I should move it up to a C. Let's move it up to a C. No, let's leave it. But I wouldn't pick anybody for LA. All right, moving over to the latter half of the slate. We are going to look at this game, which is a bit bizarre, only because Kansas City still has not given us their pitcher. And by still, I mean FanDuel doesn't even have the game listed because of, they have finally listed it. But it does say to be determined, and there's no line. So if you want to take a risk that they're going to put a bum out there, you could take this line and hopefully get better. Or maybe they throw out an ace out of nowhere. You could get a little nice value closing line. Don't do that. It's just another form of gambling. So we got Rodriguez versus who knows. I don't like this game. The wind is blowing directly in batters' faces all night. And for that reason, because there's no lines, because I hate it, I'm not even picking this game. Just completely staying off of it. Cody Senga versus Drew Smyly. Now remember, Smyly a few weeks ago was in contention for a no-hitter. It may have even been a perfect game. He may have been perfect through 6 to 7 innings. Anyway, looked good in that game. Has looked decent all season. Not a game I love. Chicago, like I said last week, can be a tale of two parks. Winds blowing in, you're cursed. Winds blowing out, it is free home runs. If I had to pick, I would go with two guys from Chicago, Ian Happ and Mervis, who has hit some recently, and at 630 again. Value. So not a game I'm going to play, but there's your picks. Should you play it? This is probably my favorite game of the slate. I know last week I said Cincinnati's the game of the night. Oh my gosh, you gotta play Cincinnati. Put your whole bankroll on it. Put your life savings on it. Take out a second mortgage on your house. Right? I was an idiot. There was like 2 home runs hit, maybe. Felt horrible. So this is the game of the night. This is the game to be on. This is the game to play. This is my best pick. This is 5 home runs waiting to happen. Let's do it. It is Houston at Milwaukee. These teams have pitchers, but these two guys are not the pitchers for these teams, if you know what I'm saying. I'm going with Kyle Tucker and Jesse Winker. I don't mind Alvarez. I don't mind Yelich. I don't mind Tellez. I don't mind Bryce Turang. There is so much potential in this game, and I know I'm going to kick myself when Turang hits a home run and when Alvarez hits a home. I don't care. As long as we can get 5 in this game, it is no sweat off my teeth, or whatever the kids say these days. So these are the plays of that game. This is a game I would definitely target. This game is the opposite. This is a game I would avoid completely, maybe even if I had the unlimited version. Trevor Larnach at 800. We took him a few weeks ago at like plus 400. FanDuel at least is being fair and understanding that Minnesota, the Twin Cities tonight, is not going to be a good park to hit at, and these pitchers, big sample sizes and few home runs. I mean, Sonny Gray, no home runs given up all year. Kind of crazy, would never have guessed. But I'm going to take one guy from each team, Wade and Larnach. for the sake of record keeping, but I'm not on those guys. This game I think should be another good one. You got a great park. You got a high altitude, and you got pitchers who haven't pitched great. And obviously Perez's sample size is tiny, so he may kind of even that out a little bit. But I will target two guys, one from each team. Charlie Blackmon at 520. Hopefully he's in the lineup. He's always a guy you kind of got to be careful of, but we'll double check before the game starts. And Garrett Cooper at 420. 420 in Colorado. You got to play that. So that's what we're going with. Moustakas isn't bad. McMahon isn't bad. So I think we can get 4 to 5 home runs that game as well. Last two games, we have Brian Bello versus Griffin Canning. I prefer Bello's pitching in this one, but there was so much value on Ohtani at 450. I think that number is going to go into the 370s by the time the game gets off. I'm confused at what. Let me make sure that's still the number. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's already been hitting that, Oh, it's still 450. Okay, I just that's a number that when I see his name next to, I can't avoid it. He's usually at between 3 and 350 on a Tuesday. So Ohtani at 450 is a great spot, and Rafael Devers at 360 is my A-team pick, probably my best pick going up against Griffin Canning. So if things go awry, actually I technically played those. I usually stick to 3 games. I went ahead and played 4, and I reached to that one as well just because of those numbers. I won't be on this game, but I do like this game. I think the pitching is poor for the A's tonight, and I think Seattle at home is a good spot for Jared Kelenic and Cal Raleigh, both sub 400. Again, like I said, trying to be reasonable with my picks, but maybe sacrificing a tad bit of value there. But Kelenic, 10 home runs on the year. I like that number at home, looking good. So these are the plays of the night. Go ahead and zoom out for you guys so you can see everything in its full glory. All right, spreadsheet me like one of your French girls or whatever. Get out of here. All right, so these are the plays this evening. This is what I'm on tonight. I am locking in Fraley. I am locking in Tucker. I am locking in Blackmon. I am locking in Ohtani. Personally, those are the games I'm targeting. But again, you want to play them all, play them all. So thank you guys for stopping by. Appreciate your support. More videos to come. I think I'm going to do an NBA Finals preview, betting preview, once either Miami can lock it up finally or Boston comes back 4 games. I don't know. So be on the lookout for that. As always, if you can subscribe, get some notifications on for the videos, it helps me a lot. No UFC this week, so we won't be on that. You guys want to see any more content at all? Again, I'll talk about any sports and any sports betting. So anything you guys want to see, I'm probably going to do a video about EV betting, positive EV betting, kind of explain my history with it, my opinions on it, and everything like that. So all of those things coming down the pipeline soon. And appreciate you guys again, and good luck tonight as you play, tail, and have some fun.